Assessment drives instruction. Assessment drives learning. It informs the students of their progress, and assessment informs teaching practices, whether it's effective or revisable. Assessments are very essential to an educator's lesson plan and lesson proper, for which this would help the teacher to know, analyze, and evaluate whether if the students have understood and if they actually learned something out of the lesson being taught. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to each and everyone who are listening. I am 𝐏𝐨𝐫𝐿 and I will be discussing portfolio assessment. So what is portfolio assessment? When we say portfolio, it is a collection of student work that can exhibit a student's efforts, progress, and achievements in various areas of the curriculum. Here I have presented 3 features of portfolio assessment. So first, it is an archive of students' output and other academic works that may show solid samples of their work and illustration of their growth over the time. Second, it is a student-teacher relationship in where the collaboration of creation and cooperation in terms on achieving ultimate learning goals. And third feature is that it is a representation of the skills and talent of students portrayed in their outputs that is included in the portfolio. It is a reflection on which they do best and what is not, thus creates avenue for further improvement of assessments. So there are a few purposes of portfolio assessment. That it is collected in the purpose of it is students' self-assessment. This means that students will be able to go through their development and reflect about their learning progress. They will develop a sense of responsibility upon their work and would possibly motivate them to do their best and improve themselves. It could also have the goal of clear goals. Just like any other type of assessment, portfolio assessment also has objectives and goals to be reached. However, portfolio assessment creates more of a clear standards to be achieved by the end of the day. Students have an overview on what should be submitted and accomplished, and that enables them to have control on their outputs, on what would they include in order to be reaching the standard that is imposed and that is need to be reached. It could also serve as a purpose of developing social skills. In creating and developing each other's portfolio, students may develop interaction with between peers. They may help students collaborate ideas with other students to achieve the goals better. It may serve as a purpose of to develop a student-teacher relationship. Students will not have any hard time approaching concerns and opening up to their teachers, and teachers as well will have the opportunity to understand and to get to know well their students. It could also serve the purpose of documentation. By utilizing portfolio assessments, we'll be able to compile, review, and evaluate students' work over time. That, as an educator, enables us to have a more deeper, richer, and more accurate view of the students, of what they have learned, and have ourselves adjust the measures and test other than standardized tests to lead into a more meaningful learning. By this, we will have a basis of documented academic outputs, accomplishments, and a long-lasting archive of students' work product. Now, here we have 6 essential elements of portfolio. The first is cover letter, table of contents, entries, dates, drafts, and reflection. So when we say cover letter, these elements show the progress of the student from novice to his mastery of learning. So the whole duration from his beginner level up to his mastery level of learning. When we say table of contents, this element shows the detailed contents of the portfolio, thus by the name, and it views what is expected to be shown inside of the portfolio. Next, we have entries. The entries is classified into two entries, which is the first, it is the core entries, which would be the compulsory and required outputs to put and include in the portfolio. And however, the entries that is entitled for the student's preference, whether they would include the output or not, would be called as optional entries. So the two entries would be core entries and the optional entries. Next, we have the dates. This element is living up to its name, for the portfolio shall indicate dates in order to monitor growth through transitions of time. So we will able to see whether this kind of time is the growth of the student. So in these dates, she or he is novice, and up to this date he started to grow and to improve. Next, we have drafts. This element is basically that everything shall be included to be put into the portfolio, such as the scratch papers, all the academic outputs from the oral and written form, and revised papers. So basically everything, um, thus by the name draft. Okay, and the last element would be the reflection, where the students will reflect on what they have learned, achieved, and everything they feel about their progress throughout their performance, whether they have felt fulfilled or thought that they have the room for improvement. So this will show how the students view and assess themselves. So that is the 6 essential elements of portfolio. So there are 3 types of portfolio. So it is a documentation portfolio, the process portfolio, and the showcase portfolio. So when we say documentation portfolio, this includes everything. What I mean by everything is it should consist every form of outputs of students, from the most developing outputs, the drafts, the scratch paper, the weakest outputs. They will say that they may show how the students develop, therefore show growth during a given period of time. The second type of portfolio is the process portfolio. This is rather similar to documentation type of portfolio, which it contains outputs that serves as evidence, that is to prove the learning outcomes has been achieved in a certain amount of time. On the other hand, this would also include an output that reflects the student's development from the beginning up to his mastery. Okay, so documentation portfolio is just the things that the students had done throughout a given amount of time or throughout the learning process, while the process portfolio is the learning growth of the students from his development um, output up to his mastery output. Last, we have the third type of portfolio, which is the showcase portfolio. So the showcase portfolio includes all the best output of the students. It shows accomplishments that highlights student success and quality of work. So when we say showcase portfolio, it is commonly used in applying for a new job or an interview, because as we have discussed earlier, showcase portfolio is a portfolio that displays or shows the owner's best and quality of work that they have, that they possess, the highlights of their achievements and accomplishments,
over time. So it allows them to show, not just tell that I am good and I am skilled. So this will help them leave a good first impression to the interviewee that these students are very much capable and skillful, and that is well fitted to be accepted to a job. So that would be all about discussing portfolio. So we have discussed its three features together with its purpose, the six essential elements of the portfolio, with the three types of portfolio. And I hope you have learned something from this discussion. This is me, EJ Fligmel, saying thank you and goodbye.